Hey, what's going on, Badger Nation? I've done 4 separate episodes on Black Friday and Cyber Monday, strategies you need to be sure that your PPC campaigns are where they should be. A lot of times those episodes are filled with data, specific timings, and specific optimization ideas, and I've got that for you again here today, so that you can all mentally wrap your head around what to do, when to do it, and some considerations about doing that. So let's jump in here. The first thing I'll say is that over the years, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Prime Day, they've all been the same, right? There's a little dip ahead of time, and then there's a big spike in conversion rate. Therefore, there's a big spike in ROAS and a big spike in sales. It's always the same. However, what is really evolving is that the way that we take advantage of that increase in conversion rate. Some brands famously didn't do anything for the last Prime Day. And I don't mean the Q4 Prime Day, I mean the Q3 Prime Day. They famously didn't do anything and they saw a sales spike anyway. And they sort of said like, hey, we're optimizing for profitability here. So some brands not increasing budgets, just trying to optimize for profit instead of massive volume. And to be honest, I think that just captures the vibe of advertising on Amazon for a lot of brands. They feel exhausted. They feel like their CPCs have gone up 20, 30, 40, 60% over the last 2 years. And the idea of sort of going in and following Amazon's recommendation to like 4x budget and like 10x your bids is a little exhausting. So I wanted to share sort of 3 scenarios based off where you are, and you can sort of pick the best scenario for you. Because that's all PPC, right? So much of PPC is business level decisions about what is going on in the business and how can we apply that to a strategy that makes sense to implementation. So the 3 scenarios are: scenario 1, where you want to go really hard and you want to push it as high as possible. Scenario 2 is on the other end of the spectrum, where we're going to go more conservative. You want to just maximize profit. You'd rather trade volume for profit. And then, of course, I'm way in the middle, where you want a little bit of both. So join me. I'm here visiting family upstate New York, and I'm here for Thanksgiving. So join me as I go on the snowy walk, and we will dig in here. So one thing I would say is, like I mentioned, every quarter 4, same kind of thing happens. Massive spike in Amazon advertising. In terms of ad spend, you watch Q4 ad spend surpass Q3, Q2, Q1 by many times over, right? That's not exciting news. The holidays are a massive shopping time, which you don't need to, I don't need to tell you about. But here's what I will tell you on this episode. You can kind of keep it simple. Direct your spend to amplify your very best terms, and you'll be okay. So this is how it really works. November is pretty normal up until the week of pre-Thanksgiving. Sort of like 4 days before Thanksgiving, there's sort of a dip. People generally see an increase in ACoS or a dip in ROAS. More clicks, but fewer sales. Conversion rate actually goes down during this pre-Thanksgiving week. Reason being, a lot of people are searching for products that they'll later buy during Black Friday and Cyber Monday. You actually do want this traffic so that they can fall into a retargeting campaign, like we talk about here on the show. So that or even if you're not seeing a retargeting ad, they just recognize you later when they make that same search. Maybe they'll add you to your cart now, right? Those kinds of things are what you want to be thinking of. And then during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, there's usually anywhere from a 20 to 50% conversion rate increase, clicks spike as well, right? Everything goes up, right? ACoS goes down, conversion rate goes up, orders go up. Now, what should you really do? And like I mentioned, I want to keep this episode really simple. I can link to previous episodes that I've done on Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which are a lot more data filled. I wanted to give you the gist here, the general idea. So if you've been listening to the show, I assume that you sort of have some of the technical skills to go in here and do it. And if you don't, definitely go back and check out last year's episodes on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. We will link that in the show notes here for you. So let's go through this. And scenario 1, let's say you want to go really hard. You are already feeling energized, you are excited and ready to go. You typically have a great quarter 4s. So let's lean into this and go full throttle. Maybe you have not been struggling with CPCs or ACoS this year. So this is my go hard plan. And this is the broad strokes of it. So November before Thanksgiving week is pretty normal. Pre-Thanksgiving, The idea behind going hard on the pre-Thanksgiving dip that normally happens is actually to lean into it, to sort of view that time as a time where people are doing research, they are doing consideration, they are trying to find things that later they will buy, they're trying to add things to cart, they're just sort of getting prepared here. Most of the time, people will sort of lean back from that. However, if you want to go hard, lean into it. Increase your bids sort of 10% on second tier keywords and probably 20% on top tier keywords. Then when Black Friday, Cyber Monday comes around and now you have sort of significant conversion rate bumps, lean into that even harder. Increase bids on second tier keywords, another 10%. Increase top tier keywords, another 30%. That ends up being about a 50% bid increase on your top tier keywords. Increase your budgets about 2.5x to 3x on those top tier campaigns and keywords, and probably 1.5x on your second tier keywords. So that's how you go hard. It's not necessarily rocket science. Hopefully you've been listening to the show, so you've already been heeding a lot of insight to make your campaigns as good and as strong as possible, because truthfully, good PPC optimization is, it's fairly bland in a lot of ways. It's the right bids at the right time with the right campaign structure, with the right keywords, all the things that we talk about week in, week out here on the PPC Den podcast, right? So you've already got that in place, which is great. Now all you need to do is just step on the gas for those places where you need to do it. So this whole thing of like top tier and then second tier keywords, or top tier campaigns, second tier keyword campaigns, if you're wondering what that means, it's obviously not a scientific definition, but just use the Pareto principle or 80-20 to guide your way. When I say top tier campaigns, I'm talking about the top 20% of campaigns that usually generate 80% of your sales. So if you have 100 campaigns, I'm talking about your top 20 campaigns as your top tier. And I'm talking about sort of second tier as sort of like the next maybe 20 campaigns, right? So that's how I would think about that. Anything beyond the second tier, you can make some judgment calls if you want, if you feel like those things are worth pushing. Again, generally, almost every keyword will see some kind of conversion rate boost. That's if you want to go hard. Let's go to the other end of the spectrum. Let's say you want to go super conservative with your bids and budgets. You want to take it easy. You need a break. Sales conversion rates are going to go up anyway. You're really just trying to be as profitable as possible. If you've exhausted, if you feel exhausted with high CPCs and ACOS and you just need a break, then here you go. Here's a pretty typical plan. November before Thanksgiving, it's going to be pretty normal. Pre-Thanksgiving, you can probably reduce bids slightly, like 5% going into this. Reason being, you won't see as big of an ACOS spike during this time if you have cheaper clicks. When Black Friday, Cyber Monday comes around, go look at those top 20% of your campaigns, those top tier keywords, increase bids there 25%, increase budgets there 50%. And honestly, it really is that simple. You can leave your tier 2 keywords where they are. You can leave them with sort of a normal bid and just capture that increase in CVR naturally, right? It's a trade-off. You likely won't have as many sales as you could if you stepped on the gas a little bit more and pushed all these things. But it is becoming more and more common to do just this, to sort of not go crazy during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, to not go so crazy during Prime Day, because brands are trying to recoup some of the losses that they have to invest in Amazon ads if they've been pushing really hard, right? Stepping on the gas on the CPCs year round to try to push for rank, to try to push for this, to try to push for that. And, during this time, you just want to maximize for profit, recoup some of the expense. And that's totally fine. So often PPC is a business level decision. So keep that in mind. Now, let's say you just wanted to sort of go the middle way, right? The natural sort of middle ground here. I think most companies will fit in here, right? Again, November before Thanksgiving, pretty normal. Pre-Thanksgiving week, you're looking at sort of your first tier keywords, probably leave them as is. Your second tier keywords, probably leave them as is. Clicks will go up. Conversion rate will go down during that pre-Thanksgiving week. That's okay. That's to be expected. Don't panic down from there. People are doing their consideration research. As Amazon marketers and Amazon sellers, it's such a foreign concept, this heavy consideration traffic, right? But that's the time for it. This is where it really happens on Amazon. So welcome that consideration traffic. And just sort of leave your first and second tier keywords hanging out. Maybe your third tier keywords, anything with a high ACoS going into this week, things with very little data where you don't feel too confident in these keywords. Yeah, you could probably reduce them down 5% to maybe counterbalance some of that. Then Black Friday, Cyber Monday happens. Your first tier keywords, boost those up 25 to 50%. Increase your budgets 2.5x on those top tier campaigns. For second tier keywords, probably increase 10-20% those bids, increase budgets maybe by 50% or 100% or so. Third tier keywords, you can probably just put back to their normal bid, right? That's a pretty standard middle of the road approach, right? So we've sort of captured 3 views here. In every single one of them, we're doing something different with our top tier keywords, right? We're always stepping on the gas on our top tier keywords. That's almost always a good idea. Safe bet during the holidays. I don't recommend anybody to sort of put the brakes on their top tier keywords ever. And during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, lean into the increase in conversion rate. With second tier keywords, that's sort of where you can sort of see, like, if you're going a little bit more conservative, you're not going to push those as much. And of course, your third tier keywords, if you want to save some cash and boost profit, those are probably going to have their highest conversion rates of the year, probably. So it might be a nice opportunity for you to sort of take these keywords that are maybe like third tier keywords and just get some profit from them. So some common questions I get here. Do you need to be mathematically absolutely perfect? Of course not. These are general rules of thumbs and increases that I've mentioned. They are, however, based off, about the 1,000 marketplaces that we have on AdBadger, sensing those trends, studying those trends. We go back and we look at how big the conversion rate jump was and on what day and how orders changed and clicks changed on what day. And it's almost, it has been exactly the same since we started doing this in 2017, where there's a dip before Thanksgiving and then there's a Black Friday, Cyber Monday mega spike. So that's pretty standard. It's happened every single year. And it also repeats during Prime days, right? So PPC does become an imperfect science, though, because you're trying to do things to predict the future, right? So it's much easier to say, let me change my bid. Here's a keyword. It has a 50% ACoS. The conversion rate is bad, so I'm going to reduce my bid based off all that past information. When it comes to Prime Day and Black Friday, Cyber Monday, you're trying to do things to predict what will happen tomorrow. And that's the most challenging thing. And when you know that tomorrow is actually going to be different than your most recent history, you need to make some judgment calls. So these are some general judgment calls based off the last 4 years. I suppose you could say it's been 1,000 marketplaces in our last data set. So we've got a lot of data to chew on. And this is the general trend combined with some business level goals that you might have, whether you want to go really hard, you want to go on the opposite end of the spectrum, or you want to hit the sort of middle thing. Now, the second big question, and I don't think enough people talk about this. They talk a lot about like what to do, but they don't actually talk about how to do it. So let's actually address that really quick. You want to take advantage of the Black Friday Cyber Monday boost, but you probably also want to like hang out and drink wine and eat turkey and pass that on the couch, watch football or chase the cousins around, whatever it looks like. You want to do that, right? So enjoy your holiday. So like, how do you actually do these things going into Black Friday, Cyber Monday? Prepare your bulk files ahead of time. We've got a ton of content on bulk files. They're an incredibly useful tool. Prepare that bulk file so that you can just log in and hit upload, right? Super simple. It takes, 20 minutes. And you can do that before let's say you eat at 8 p.m., upload, just go sneak over to your computer, upload that file, and your bids will be nice and strong going into Friday, right? Is it 100% perfect? You might have a couple hours on Thursday of Thanksgiving with those big bids. It's fine. I really do think that's okay. Again, as a busy entrepreneur, solopreneur, unless you sort of wake up very early on Friday, that would be optimal. But considering all these things, I would fire those out. And if you wanted to sleep in, because you don't want to miss out, if you're going to get to your computer first thing on Friday, I would rather upload it early than upload it 9 a.m. on Friday, right? That's what you want to avoid. Another option is to use a piece of software, right? Like this is what we baked into Ad It allows you to just sort of quickly filter those keywords, so you can hit all your top tier keywords, select them all, and click increase bid by 25%. And it takes you about a minute to do, right? Like that's why we created Ad Also, what we do here, because we do manage a small roster of managed service clients here at Ad we have an international team, thankfully. And this is one major asset of it. So for them, they can actually sit, watch, monitor on Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, Black Friday, and so all of Cyber Weekend. Like it's a typical normal day for them, right? It's not a national holiday where they spend it with their family. So there's lots of different ways to do it. I do think my favorite way is to have an international team. If not that, then I would probably use a piece of software so that you can quickly and easily jump in and adjust those bids and budgets. And then the very good option still is to use a bulk file and have it prepared the day before, so you just log in and upload it. So those are some ideas and considerations for you, as solopreneurs, or you're working on a larger team, you want to give people a holiday. I imagine most teams out there are somewhat international these days, so that's great. And Thanksgiving is primarily a US holiday, so that's great. So take advantage of that. Use tools to get more done easier, faster, and prepare that bulk file ahead of time. And the last thing, even if you don't get Black Friday, Cyber Monday perfect, remember the first 3 quarters of December is actually where the bulk of Q4 sales and spend come from, because that high conversion rate kind of rides up until a couple days before Christmas. So the conversion rate is normally like 50% higher in December than it is in September, for example. And there's normally like 75% more orders in December than September, for example. So I've given you some options here depending on what you want to do and what you want to accomplish with your ads this year, depending on how your year has been. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, almost always you want to step on the gas for those top tier keywords. And then you can make some judgment calls about how much you step on the gas. If you pull off on anything in that pre-Thanksgiving slump, it might save you some dollars during that phase. Put it in your calendar. If you think you can get to the computer perfect at midnight going in there, or right before you eat, or right after you eat for Thanksgiving, or work with an international team to give you some assistance during that time, or use a tool. That's it for me. Have a good one. From the bottom of my heart to yours, thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a phenomenal holiday season. Happy Thanksgiving. And I will see you here next week, here on the PPC Den podcast. Have a great Cyber Monday and Black Friday.